Hello everyone, Agent of Doubt here. I just got an email, just like every other member of the American Humanist Association. And in that email, I learned that there was a memorial service for the victims of the Boston Marathon bombing, and the president was in attendance, and it was labeled an interfaith service. But after repeatedly trying to become a part of this interfaith service, humanists were denied and excluded from the service. I've got a couple feelings about this, and I'd like to express them, but I will leave a link in the description box so that you can follow what I am talking about. It's pretty much the same as what I got in my email. First, I want to say that this service seems to have been run by people that weren't even Bostonian thinking people. They weren't thinking about the community of Boston. They were thinking about the nation, you know. If you're trying to reflect the people that were hurt by this, you're not reflecting the people that were hurt by this if you're excluding humanists when you're in Boston. One of the double amputees from the Boston Marathon bombing was actually a very prominent member of the secular community in Boston, and her daughter was also hit by shrapnel as well. There were victims, direct victims, not just people who were stunned because they were watching their TV set, direct victims of this that were probably needing some representation at the service from the humanist people that they would have liked to have been there. When you look at the rest of the country, we've got, based on a slightly old Pew Research poll, we've got 4% atheists, 4% agnostics. That's 8%, right? And then we've got people of the 92% that's left, 80% of which is Christian. We've got people who would not call themselves religious, right? But it's a very small number when you look at the entire country, because we've got that Bible Belt in the middle, you know. But when you're talking about a city on the coastline, you know, big city people, the metropolitan people, like the people of Boston, it's different. Nearly 50% of the people in Boston would say that they are not religious. And I don't know what percent of them would say that they are atheists or agnostics or humanists, like the people who tried to get into this interfaith service. But I have to think that it's probably a little bit bigger than, you know, the rest of the country as an average, because this is a city on the coasts outside of the Bible Belt. So when you're excluding humanists from an interfaith service, I just have to wonder, like, what is the point? Are you trying to reflect the values of the nation? Are you trying to reflect the values of what you want the nation to look like? Or are you trying to reflect the actual needs of the people in that particular community? Which it can't be the case, because they're not reflecting the values of that community or the beliefs of that community. Or maybe they're deluded as to what they think the beliefs of that community are. Maybe they think that there's no group of humanists that live in Boston. Well, they know now because there's been some backlash. But I think there must be this feeling among those people that excluded the humanists that when they say interfaith, they don't mean atheists, they don't mean humanists, they don't mean secularists, they don't mean free thinkers. They mean people who have faith. And so you can be a Jew, a Muslim, a Catholic, a Protestant, you can be Jehovah's Witnesses, you can be any of those mix because those people value having faith. But if you're one of those groups that is against faith, then you can't be part of the interfaith service, which is not how it is applied in other situations. I've been a part of many interfaith things in my own city. As an atheist, as a freethinker, I've been invited to interfaith things. But apparently in this instance, they thought that interfaith meant that celebrants, which is the humanist equivalent of a priest, celebrants who normally for their own community would be providing services like marrying people and counseling and guidance, all that kind of stuff. Humanists get that from celebrants, and those are the people who were excluded here. They are probably the most religious of the atheists. They have their own version of things without having faith included. They believe in having a confidence in humanity and doing good for human beings regardless of how you feel about faith. The whole "good without God" slogan comes from the humanists. So I feel like when something gets labeled interfaith, there should be a more standardized meaning to that. Just like when something gets labeled secular. A lot of people, on YouTube, on the internet, whatnot, they think that the word secular is just a nice euphemism for atheism. Godlessness. And that's not the case. Secular actually means a meeting place where everyone can come together and not have to worry about their religious background, and they can sit at the same table. Secular originally was used to describe monks who weren't being represented by a certain cloister or religious sect. So when they were wandering around, they were considered secular because they didn't have they were monks, but they didn't have anyone that they were representing as a monk. So yeah, looking at the roots of the word, it's a lot different back when it started than what people are using it to mean now. A lot of people are mistakenly using secular to mean atheism in a sort of backdoor way, No, it's just supposed to mean that you're not going to hold it against somebody for not being of your particular belief system, and you're going to let them have a seat at the table. That's what it means. Nobody gets elevated. Everyone's seen as equals regardless of their religious preference. That's what it's supposed to mean. But these labels get used in different ways, and just like secular has been used to exclude people of faith, and I've seen that even at a secular coalition for America conference. It happened in Grand Junction, where one religious person who came there, he was very shocked that everyone there was bashing religion. and they were using secular to mean atheist. And most of the people who came to the newly formed secular coalition for Colorado, SCA chapter, they were atheists, and they were thinking that they were going to a group where only atheists would be there, and you saw a lot of speakers that basically talked to the entire crowd as if it was full of atheists, but secular can actually draw out some religious people who just don't believe that their religion should be dominating other people. They exist, those people, and we need to reach out to them if we're going to have any sort of productive social change when we are completely outnumbered, in the greater average of the entire country. We need to work with those people. And so I've seen now both sides use a word that's supposed to mean inclusiveness and use it to exclude the people that they don't agree with on that level. It sucks. It really does. I really don't see how the words secular or interfaith would be mutually exclusive. You could actually have a secular interfaith conference and have everyone there and be inclusive, and work on healing, And I wonder, the people that excluded the humanist celebrants from this service, I wonder if they were thinking, damn those atheists for trying to politicize this bombing, Damn them for trying to shoehorn in their values at such a time. We're grieving, we're hurting, This isn't the time for you to be pushing your atheism when we're hurting and we need God, I wonder if that's what was going through their heads. And my response to that would be, are we threatening when we say that as humanists and as free thinkers and atheists that we might have a way to help people with their grieving? Are we threatening? Has religion had this monopoly on the grieving process and getting to people during that time when they're, hurting? Are we threatening that monopoly? Are we threatening in that we, as participants in an interfaith service, are we threatening in that we would show that for so long there has been that monopoly? Because it would be a shock to some people to see somebody not talking about God but still talking about the grieving process at something like this, Do these people think that religion deserves to have a special privilege during times like this because their God can heal people better than loving, warm people, who stretch out their hands to help? And after reading a lot about this, I find out that tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars have been raised by secular and atheist groups and humanist groups for this tragedy in particular. Money isn't everything, though. Being nice, warm people is very important. And when somebody is offering their condolences and offering their help and their thoughts, is it right to look at that outstretched hand and then smack it away and say, no, you're different than us, and you don't have a place at this table? Take care, everyone.